When my great-great-grandparents settled in Chelsea, East Boston, and Lynn over 100 years ago, I don't think they could have imagined me standing up here tonight. I know that my father and 4 generations of my greater Boston family and 4 generations of my wife Jill's greater Boston family are smiling down on us with pride right now. This is an awesome moment for me and for my family. Thank you and Mazel Tov to our honorees for your dedication and your leadership, for being role models for all of us. Thank you, Barry, for 30 years of inspiring this community and for being a teacher and a mentor to me and to so many of us. Thank you, Neil, for your friendship, for your unwavering stewardship and wise leadership of CJP and this community over the past 3 years, especially during this transition. Cindy and I are humbled and excited to take the mantle from you both and to build upon the incredible legacies that you've left. We're here tonight marking a powerful moment in the history of CJP as an organization and of our entire community. This is a liminal space of sorts. We're celebrating all we've accomplished already, and we're looking forward to the future ahead. We're expressing gratitude for the foundation upon which we stand right now and dreaming boldly about the new heights for which we reach. The word I would use to describe this moment and to describe the community of which I want to be a part and that I know we are, that word is covenant. How appropriate that this evening occurs during another covenantal liminal space on the Jewish calendar and on our annual Torah reading cycle. Yesterday, as we heard on Simchat Torah, we read the Torah's final chapters. We concluded the book of Deuteronomy with the Israelites standing on the banks of the Jordan River, prepared to enter the land of Israel and to begin the next phase of their history. They experienced the departure of their beloved leader of 2 generations. They reminded themselves of their journey from Egypt to Sinai through the wilderness, of the glorious miracles they experienced, of the challenges they faced, and of all they learned along the way. They looked forward to a bright future with great expectations and with anxiety about whether their next generation would stay connected to their story and their way of life. Listen to Moses' powerful charge to our ancestors at their moment of transition. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. You are standing firmly today, all of you together, before the Lord your God. The heads of your tribes, your elders, your officers, every member of Israel, children, men and women, and the stranger in your camp, from your woodcutters to your water drawers, in order to bring you into the covenant that God is making with you today. As I think about where we are and where we're heading as an organization and as a community, these words resonate deeply with me. Let me share 3 big themes that were true on the banks of the Jordan River thousands of years ago, and that I believe are still true for us today. The first is engagement and inclusivity. Why? After declaring that everyone was there, does Moses list so many categories of people who were included in the community at that defining moment? It's as if the Torah is telling us, no matter how inclusive you think you are, stay vigilant about those who might be on the margins of your community. The The great news is that CJP has set the bar high already. We've worked with our partners to build a diverse and inclusive community. We embrace our interfaith families and our LGBTQ+ community. We have strong partnerships with our Israeli-American community. We are working to eradicate Jewish poverty. And we've been steadfast in our efforts to make Judaism more inclusive to everyone of all abilities. Yet, we know from our community study and our strategic plan, from research and demographic trends, and from our own friends and families, we know that we can and must do more. There are individuals, groups, cohorts, segments of our community who do not yet feel connected to meaningful Jewish life, do not yet feel part of a purposeful Jewish community, do not yet feel their voices have been heard, do not yet feel part of this. CJP's role is to build upon many of our existing initiatives and others from around the Jewish world to ensure that we voraciously engage our whole community so everyone who is looking for meaning and connection can find it in Jewish life and in a Jewish community. We need more voices contributing to our communal conversation. We need to make sure that our existing institutions become even more relevant and more hospitable to a wider range of Jews from every generation. We need innovative and compelling on-ramps to Jewish life and learning that enable people across our community to live out their values in deeply Jewish ways. A first step to becoming even more inclusive is hearing from as many people as I can. I'm about to embark on a year-long listening tour that we're calling 365, a 360-degree look at 5 key questions. This will be an effort to connect with individuals from across our community, especially those whose voices we often don't hear, about what they think is working and what isn't, and about their hopes and dreams for our future. We can build a community where there is a place for everyone. The second theme is unity. While Moses emphasizes the Israelites' diversity and the inclusion of every person and every group, he also makes clear that they need to stand as one. And one of the most powerful lessons I learned during my years at Gann Academy was that in our fast-paced, changing, and interconnected world, no one institution or community is strong enough to go it alone. Conventional wisdom about the Jewish community in American society suggests that civic engagement and responsibility have declined. Like some trends in philanthropy point toward people's desires to give locally and to give directly to things they can touch and feel, or to particular organizations to which they are loyal, rather than to the community as a whole. I simply do not believe it's an either-or. Our Jewish community is an ecosystem of interconnected people and institutions, from large communal pillars to social innovation startups, and we need each other to survive and thrive. And the more people I meet with and listen to, the more I do believe that we all understand intuitively the core Jewish teaching that Kol Yisrael Arevim Ze Lezeh. All Israel are bound up with and responsible for one another. I see this as both a moral principle and an existential one. We all want to be connected to something larger than ourselves. CJP has an important role to play in cultivating this ethos of arvut, of collective consciousness and responsibility of the whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. We can strengthen our community of communities by amplifying the important work being done by individuals and institutions across our community, by mobilizing philanthropic resources, and by activating our unlimited potential of human talent and wisdom through authentic and impactful leadership and volunteerism wherever it is needed. We stand firmly today all of us together. And the third theme is purpose. Moses' vision is not simply a vision of a radically inclusive community that stands as one. His community, like ours, stood together for an ultimate purpose: to enter into a covenantal relationship with God, with one another, with the Jewish people, and with the world. To be a community with a purpose means to be animated by big ideas, by our timeless Jewish mission to transform and repair the world, by core Jewish values. It means that in order to discern how best to live out that vision and values, we need to push past narrow perspectives, easy answers, and simple solutions to our most complex problems. We need robust debate about what matters most to our community and about how best to express and act upon our most sacred commitments, from Jewish life and learning to caring for our most vulnerable, to our responsibility to Israel and the Jewish people, to raising our voice in the public square and playing our role in improving the world. At a time when our American democracy and our Jewish community can feel so polarized and fragile, CJP and each one of us can help create a community in which our differences strengthen us rather than tear us apart. Our sages teach us that a machloket l'shem shamayim, an argument for the sake of heaven, a principled debate about matters of consequence, will endure forever. We have thousands of pages of Talmudic arguments, most of which do not end in a resolution. It's the content and the quality of our arguments themselves and the actions that emerge from them that will shape the character of our community of purpose. A covenantal community is one of intellectual openness and exploration, where truth is pursued but perhaps never attained. It's one where we stay in relationship with one another, even with those with whom we disagree, and sometimes even those with whom we least want to stay in relationship. A covenantal community is not paralyzed by disagreement and dissent. We hear and consider many voices, and then we move forward together. We do not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Instead, our learning leads to action, which leads to impact, which occasionally leads to failure, yet which always leads to more learning. This kind of community, of learning and action, of inclusiveness, unity, and purpose, requires patience, humility, and faith. It requires the courage of our convictions and a bold vision for our future. It requires the willingness to challenge and critique one another from a place of commitment and love. I can feel that love in this room tonight. I can feel the pride in all that we've accomplished and the excitement about all that lies ahead. Looking out at all of you gives me faith and hope as I look toward our future. We have important work to do that will take passion and commitment from every one of us. I am so thrilled to begin this journey and this new year together. Thank you.